our Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So our theme for this week is graphic novels. And I wanted to encourage you, even if you don't really like graphic novels, to maybe try one. Because what's amazing about graphic novels is they're not just fiction, they're not just fantasy. There's nonfiction, there's adaptations, like they take real books and turn them into graphic novels, which sometimes makes them a little bit easier to read. But we have 6 we're going to take a look at that might inspire you to try a graphic novel, or if you are a graphic novel lover, you may fall in love with some of these. So let's get started. Our first one is Trinity, a graphic history of the first atomic bomb. Again, non-fiction. You don't have to read graphic novels just in fiction. And this is a look at the Manhattan Project. This is the scientific and top secret team which was put together by the US government during World War II. And the goal was to develop the atomic bomb. This brings you behind the scenes as you meet famous individuals involved, the choices that were made, such as whether or not to even use the atomic bomb. They go through all these steps and then they have to decide if they even want to use this weapon of mass destruction. Another thing that I love about this one is it takes a look at the competition that took place between various countries. Russia was trying to build it first, Germany was trying to build it first, and then they even infiltrated spies in each other's camps to try to find out what everyone else was doing, and sometimes to even try to sabotage it. This is a great companion to Steve Sheinkin's Bomb. If you've ever read that, if you haven't, definitely that is a good one. But this is a unique way of looking and learning about history, especially when we contemplate something that did change the course of world history. This is Trinity. Under the Moon. So this graphic novel takes you into the backstory of one of the most beloved villains of all time, Catwoman. So we start with Selina Kyle. That is her real human name. She's 14 years old and she is fed up with her mother's string of horrible boyfriends, including the current one, whose name is Danelle, and he's abusive and he's vindictive. When he kills her kitten, though, that is the last straw. And she decides to do something about it, and she runs away from home, and she joins this gang who completes heists, and then she starts learning, all these different talents, and she figures out that she's this incredible hacker, and she also can do some pretty awesome parkour skills. But when one of the heists goes wrong, though, and this deranged murderer shows up, Selina will need to face her demons in order to save herself and the others that have become her family. A unique look at a backstory that is worth sharing and will leave you with a deeper appreciation and understanding of this famous Batman character. And at the end, you may not even be seeing her as a villain so much, but maybe more as a victim. This is Under the Moon. The Great Gatsby. So again, this is one of those, they've taken a novel and now they've turned it into a graphic novel, maybe making it just a little bit better, depending on your opinion. So this is a graphic novel adaptation of a novel that many consider to be an American classic. You will follow the moods of the characters as Nick Carraway moves to West Egg and quickly gets pulled into this life and the lifestyle of his neighbor Jay Gatsby in the 1920s, when all of the drama that comes with it. There is an epic love triangle, there's crime, there's murder, there's death, and there's angst, as Gatsby is trying to do everything he can to reconnect with his true love Daisy. But she's already moved on and she's married someone else. If you haven't read this novel already, or even if you haven't, you will appreciate the adaptation because of the visual way the author and the artist has chosen to do it. And the way they depict this deep and dark story is through a variety of colors. This is The Great Gatsby. Will and Wit. So it is the summer before her senior year, and 16-year-old Wilhelmina, who goes by Will, lives with her aunt, helps run the antique store, and keeps herself busy by making things that emit light, since she's afraid of the dark. She wasn't always afraid of the dark, though, but since her parents were killed in a car accident a year before at night, she is now. It is when Tropical Storm Whitney comes through the town, though, and all of the electricity goes out, that Will is faced with having to face her greatest fear. But she soon realizes she doesn't need to do it alone, that she has this incredible support system around her, which she didn't even realize at first. This amazing graphic novel is so realistic. It's all about coming to terms with yourself, relying on friends and family, and lighting and making your own path path forward. This is Will and Wit. Friends with boys. So Maggie has been homeschooled her whole life. When she's about to enter high school, it is determined that she must now go to public school for the first time ever, and she doesn't even know where to begin. On top of that, her mother has just left her family, so she's struggling with all of the emotions and the thoughts that come with that. And there's this little thing too that Maggie's convinced that she is haunted, that there's a ghost following her around. As she starts to navigate this new life, she makes two friends, a brother and sister named Alistair and Lucy. But even that starts to get complicated, as there is some sort of past with Alistair and her older brother Daniel, plus there's this whole thing that they sneak into this museum and they steal an artifact because the ghost who's haunting her tells her that she needs this artifact, and it just leads to even more trouble and craziness. If you've ever felt anxiety, started something new, or just trying to figure out where you're headed, then this is a realistic graphic novel with a touch of horror in it that you can relate to. This is Friends with Boys. And our last one is In Real Life by Cory Doctorow, and I love me some Cory Doctorow. So there is this massive multi-online player game called Course Gold, and our main character, Anda, starts this book by starting to play this popular game for the first time. And then quickly she gets sucked in for more and more. And then while she's playing this game, she meets this other player named Raymond, and she finds out that he is a teen living in China. But he's not playing the game for fun like she is, but instead it's his job, and he's known as a gold farmer. Raymond's job is to play the game with the sole purpose of collecting items in the game, which his employer then turns around and sells to players at the highest price possible. But Raymond is paid like dirt for this. He works almost 12 hours a day for almost way beyond minimum wage. Anda starts to encourage Raymond that this isn't right and to stand up for himself and others and demand more. Or maybe they can go on strike and, because what's happening isn't right and people need to know about it. This soon leads to some epic real-world consequences, though, that neither of them saw coming. So this is based on Cory Doctorow's written book called For the Win. You might have read that before, but this is a graphic novel take on that. But if you love gaming, or you're into current situations in the world, or books that make you think outside the box, or get into ethical situations, then make sure you check out this book, especially as you start to question things that maybe you've never thought about before. This is In Real Life. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that are graphic novels. And I can promise you, we have way more than this. We have a whole graphic novel section in our teen section. So I encourage you to come out. You can check out one of these or visit the graphic novel section and explore something maybe you've never read before. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you tune back next week as we have a whole new teen book spotlight.